janapriyam priyakaram nimasaram pujitam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, and all glories to the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming on time to this program. It is important that people are punctual and aware of the value of Krishna consciousness in association with other devotees, because we're stressing a very important point to all of us, and we do care about everyone. Although I heard recently that one of our godbrothers was saying that the Diksha, the Ritvik initiation, was an initiation where the people that initiate these people have no responsibility for them. So he's stressing very much the Vapu presence of the Guru, not Vani. And this is a transcendental science of sound vibration. It's a yoga system, bhakti yoga. And the sound of the holy name, for example, the name of Krishna and the form of Krishna are non-different. And Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, and Krishna is dancing on the tip of your tongue. Now, how is that possible? Because of transcendental sound, the non-dual aspect of sound, and then the dual aspect of sound. The name and form of Krishna are non-different than Krishna. And the sound vibration emanating from the pure devotee, Śrīla Prabhupāda, is non-different than the spiritual master himself, Vani. So we very much stress the Vani incarnation of the Lord as the way to connect with the Guru, not Vapu. Because someone will be here for a few years. Okay, that's understandable. Everyone is born, everyone must die. But the eternal sound of transcendental knowledge emanating from the spiritual master will never die. He lives on in his words. And we see that in the words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He just presented the 6 Shastakam prayers, these wonderful prayers, Chaito Dharpanam Marjanam, Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam, this Sankirtan mission was emanated from the lips of the spiritual master. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme spiritual master. Yes, the supreme personality of Godhead, a Yuga avatar of the golden age that we're in, despite what some politicians say. Oh, this is a golden age. Well, the real golden age is the golden age of the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his bona fide spiritual master. So spiritual master must be bona fide. It's not that you just, because you represent the philosophy of Krishna to others and you make it up, you don't repeat it according to the previous Acharya. You don't repeat it, you change it. Is it bona fide? No. This is mental speculation, and we see that with some of our godbrothers. They're very expert at speculation. And they present all of this vapu business. Oh, I'm here, I'm going to take what responsibility are you taking? And do you mention your guru when you preach? No. Oh, I have a great spiritual master. Could you just mention the name? It's interesting to note, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, how Prabhupada was very, very insistent that his name be put on the sign of all the temples. Founder-Ācārya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. I know that because we bought the biggest temple in North America, especially back in that time, and still to this day. I don't think there's another temple this large, the Avenue Road Temple. But we were very cautious to make sure, especially when he came to visit us. And you see those beautiful pictures of him that we orchestrated when he was there, in front of the sign which specified Founder-Ācārya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. So Prabhupada is living in sound, but these godbrothers, they minimize. This is unfortunate because they're not teaching people real bhakti yoga. And Prabhupada exists in sound. And for all of us that study, I was reading this morning the Nectar of Devotion, and I was thinking, this is such an amazing book that Prabhupada has created for us. And he's perfectly representing Rupa Goswami in describing the different features of Krishna, which is a very elevated state. But somehow or other, our godbrothers, they think, I'm on this platform. Well, you might be. I'm not here to, I don't really know them, but I can hear them speak. And when they do, they minimize Prabhupada's position. So Prabhupada has been minimized, unfortunately. And our goal, Ram Raghava, is to focus everyone. We're not going to take responsibility for other people. That's why we're very insistent. When you take initiation, Ritvik initiation through our organization, we expect you to engage in devotional service with us, and at the same time, we're here to help you along the way, because it's a different set of circumstances. We're not saying, I got an interesting call from a Prabhu, I'm not going to mention his name, I don't want to embarrass him, yesterday, and he wanted to thank us as a group for our work in propagating the Vani incarnation of Śrīla Prabhupāda, which for him gives him great solace. And he's been chanting his rounds seriously since 2017, he told me. He started chanting and he hasn't stopped. He was originally chanting 7 rounds. And then somehow or other he got direction, 16 rounds. And now he's chanting every day 16 rounds without fail. And he's got association. The association of the devotees in our organization who are focused on Prabhupada's Vani incarnation, his sound incarnation. This is bhakti yoga. It's not asanas and pranayamas and other types of yoga, the eightfold Ashtanga yoga system. This is bhakti yoga, and bhakti yoga is the highest yoga that is presented by Śrīla Vyāsadeva for all those serious, sincere seekers of truth, how to get out of this material world. We are lost in the ocean of material existence. And the words emanating from the spiritual master are the source of liberation for the sincere disciple. So do never be swayed by bogus gurus. I'm seeing it. I take the time to actually listen to them speak when it comes up on the medias, because this is the way that you reach people. So I take a little bit of time, I listen, and I heard this idea that the Vapu incarnation is the most important, not Vani. This is wrong. And this person is very confused. Yet he's running an organization. He has a bunch of students. Okay. Well, good. And you're guru. And he says, all gurus are good. Oh, yeah. Well, make it up as you go. You have to represent this philosophy according to Prabhupada's teachings. And you have to know them. That means one has to carefully study. And that's what we stress here in our classes every week. We're working every week with our group. Yes. And we love everybody in our group who's committed to this because they're trying to sincerely serve the lotus feet of our spiritual master and his mission, and they're working cooperatively with us. They're giving their time, they're giving their money, they're giving their intelligence. And I wanted to just, before we go to the diaries, I wanted to mention that we are working on a book called The Complete Guide to Self-Realization. Now, that's a draft title, just so you know, but the topics, I'll go through the list of topics. Again, I had a chance to think about them last night. Excuse me, I'm sorry. In the topics, we're gonna discuss the Holy Lands, Vrindavan, Dwarka, Jagannath Puri, and Mayapur Navadvip. We want people to get a background into where Krishna conducted his pastimes, because Krishna has appeared on this planet, and these holy lands should be recognized by other people in this world who think that Jerusalem and Bethlehem and all these different other places where God or his manifestations have appeared, but it's important for them to understand the holy dhams. And we want to, if you can help compile information for that and send it over, then we can begin to organize it as part of this guide to spiritual life. We're going to do a bio on Śrīla Prabhupāda, a proper bio on him, so people understand his personality, his success, his effort. A lot that's been distorted, especially in the books which were presented by one of our godbrothers in what's called the Leelamrita. And our godbrother Yaśodā-nandana has written articles on this because it appears that in some way they represent Śrīla Prabhupada as an ordinary man. This is a big mistake. He's not ordinary. He's a Shaktivesh avatar, empowered incarnation. We're going to have a meaning. We want to give the meaning of Guru Tattva because people don't know that, and it's being misrepresented. Misinformation campaign. And then we have a chapter on the eternal spiritual master. And then within that, the explanation of Vani, the Vani incarnation, so that people get an understanding of how to connect the dots. After that, we're going to do the 4 regulative principles. We want to explain that to people that are entering into this guide, that you have to have discipline. And the reason why this opens your opportunity to understand this philosophy, because if you're just drinking every day alcohol, or you're eating meat, then it's not going to be possible that your receptivity will be there, your ability to understand. After that, we're going to put in the prefaces and introductions from the various books that Prabhupada has presented, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. When you look at the introductions, they're very comprehensive. Like, look at the Gita introduction. It's 40 pages long, Prabhus. It's very detailed. It's a complete summary of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. When you look at the introduction to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it's a very brilliant introduction. And Prabhupada, for fear that he might not finish his work, he did a complete summary of the life of Lord Chaitanya. Very interesting. Because he wanted people to be aware of who Lord Chaitanya is. And then there's an amazing introduction in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we want to put that in. This will summarize all the books, and very especially Prabhu's, Michael, Dylan, read the conclusion, the concluding words of Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. You can just go to your collection of books and read the concluding words. Why? Because they very carefully explain the value of Vani incarnation. It's not me speaking. It's not my wonderful God brother Yaśodā speaking. It's Prabhupada speaking to you in his sound incarnation, telling you what is the merits of the Vani incarnation, which has been minimized, unfortunately, by a few God brothers. Not everybody, but some. After that, we're planning to put in the perfect questions and perfect answers. As you know, I had a chance to read that recently when I was in Mexico, and I was astonished on the opportunity for people to get all of their questions answered by His Divine Grace Himself, and to introduce it so that people get a warm up to the opportunity. Then the chanting of Hare Krishna, the meaning of it, and then we're going to put in what is the PDA and the Hare Krishna Society. Now, this is a tentative draft outline that we could change. We're a group, we work together, and if you have any suggestions or anything like that, any ideas, then you could pass them over to us. Our senior editor is Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, and I don't want to talk about him too much because he'll be embarrassed, so we'll leave it for another time. But he is a very, very astute, educated person in this spiritual science of Guru Tattva. And he's been on a mission like this all his life, and I want to thank him for inspiring me to take up his service, servant of the servant. So like that, this is the plan. We have other plans. We're planning to also expand our internet preaching. And I'm working with people out of Hollywood. As you know, I'm involved with people, very famous people. And through that work, little bit of service that I do, I got a connection for a new channel that's coming out. And we got a chance to put our channel with this regular channel, because they're looking for content on the complete science of self-realization for the common soul. This ISKCON group I always say that the boat has left the harbor, the ocean of material existence. And if you think you're going to get them back, you're dreaming. Anyway, that's another topic of conversation. So thank you, everyone, for being a part of today's program. And constantly stay steady with us. That's the idea, because time is flying by. We're going to go to the diaries of Śrīla Prabhupāda. And I asked, there's my wonderful godbrother. Thank you, by the way, for your conscientious participation in our program. Here, let me get my book out here. Here we are. Excerpt from a letter to Mangala Niloy, a brahmachari dated June 11th, 1966. And this gives us an indication of how Prabhupada was dealing with his godbrothers and their disciples. Just like we have that same situation. This is the Gaudiya Mat part, we call it the Gaudiya Mat part 2. And it's a troublesome situation that we're in. And Prabhupada was in that same problematic scene. Remember, the whole Gaudiya Mat had fallen apart, and Prabhupada left India and came to America to restart the mission. Regarding the construction of the temple here in New York and in other places, I've now decided to struggle for it to the end of my life. And I'm glad that you have decided to follow my instruction in this connection. Teamwork makes dreams work. So Prabhupada's promoting that. I think that I shall be able to finish this job even if the government of India does not allow me any exchange. So this is how to get the money. I'm now trying to incorporate one corporation of the local friends and admirers under the name International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Inc. And see, he relates to these people that are coming around as friends and admirers. Negotiation is going on with the lawyer to formulate the scheme, and as soon as this is incorporated, I shall submit application for sponsoring you in this country. So he's trying to bring somebody from overseas to come and play mridanga and help him in propagating Krishna consciousness. There is enough money in this country, and for temple we may not require to get exchange from India. So Prabhupada's saying, I can raise it here. The only thing is, the people of this country must know that this is very important work. And by such conviction, enough money could be raised from the local people. So the basis of this Raghava is education. Prabhupada's here to teach people the purpose of life, and by that they'll become motivated to give money. Lakshmi is very important, to be engaged in the service of Narayan. That's the function of it. I hope when you will come, I shall get your full cooperation in this connection. We don't need people that are just on their own, narcissistic. In our group, narcissism doesn't work. Henceforth, write in English language. Here, English language is very much essential. So try to have it practiced fluently. You are educated and it will not be difficult for you. So he's telling them what to do. There is another impediment for my staying here. My publication work is suspended. You know, I already have published 3 volumes of my Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and further copies are ready for printing. And we're very excited. It's very interesting, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, that we have this program. Somehow or other, it just came from the Lord's mercy, to republish these Śrīmad-Bhāgavatams. And we're in the process of doing that. And we want to thank everybody that donated. And you could always donate to the Hare Krishna Society. We have book publications we're planning, not only in English, but in Mexican or Spanish, and also in Italian. And we always need help with that. Please let me know if your establishment can take charge of publishing these books or can manage the publication in my absence. Due to my absence from India, the publication is stopped, and therefore it disturbs my mind. Prabhupada knows how valuable the Vani incarnation is. This publication work is my main function, not minimal. But please understand. So at any rate, I cannot stop it, and he didn't. I can stop my foreign activities, but I cannot stop my publication work. Please let me know if there's any possibility of your institution to look after these affairs during my absence. That's his godbrothers in the Gaudiya Math in India, so he's requesting help. Did they? No. You have asked me to write something about Mr. Paul. This is this drug addict. He is a young man of 23 years old. He was attending my classes at 72nd Street along with others. And when there was a theft case in my room, he invited me to his residence. So I'm with him and training him. He has good prospect because he has already given up all so-called habits. In this country, illicit connection with women, smoking, drinking, and eatings of meats are common affairs because besides the other habits, like using toilet papers after evacuating, etc. But my request, he has given up 90% of his old habits. I'm just going to say that Prabhupada was taught us how to use water for the use of the washroom, for cleansing. And he is chanting Maha Mantra regularly. So I'm giving him the chance. And I think he's improving. Tomorrow I've arranged for some prasad distribution, and he's gone to purchase some things from the market in the car of a friend. I shall inform him about you when he comes back. Here we've got a big hall, and my classes are going on thrice in a week. It's interesting, we have 3 too. So please come on time and stay to the end. The rent is $100 per month. I think that you can come here. We shall be able to organize the things more nicely. Please be in regular correspondence with me and offer my respects to Sripad Maharaj, Madhava Maharaj. This is his guru. And if possible, let me know if there's any possibility of our cooperation in this attempt of foreign propaganda. If so kindly, let me know your opinion in this connection. So he's reaching out to his godbrothers for help, but he got none. And thus he went ahead on his own. And guess who helped him? Krishna. By the grace of Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami, Krishna came forward, and Prabhupada is in the process of building a global organization that's been usurped by our godbrothers. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And thank you for attending. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and then the subsequent reading and discussion with our senior editor, our godbrother, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in California.
Sai. Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Naram chaiva narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:2-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As we do every week, we will read a few selected verses from the first canto, second chapter, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Yadanudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam Chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho sradadhanasya vasudeva kataruchihi Syan mahat sevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Srinvatam svakataha Krishnaha punyashravana kirtana ridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetaye terana viddam stitam sattvi prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyante hridaya grantis chidyante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drishtaevatmanishvari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. Let us proceed with our verse this week. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 6, text number 20. It should be noted that all English synonyms, translations, and purport are from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Evam yatantam vijane mam aham agochara giram gambira shikshnarayat vacha suchaha prasamayaniva. Evam, thus, yatantam, one who is engaged in attempting, vijane, in that lonely place, mam, unto me, aha, said, agocharo, beyond the range of physical sound, giram, utterances, gambhira, grave, slakshnaya, pleasing to hear, vacha, words, shucha, grief, prasamayam, mitigating, iva, like. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thus seeing myself so attempting in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, said unto me in gravity and with pleasing words, just to mitigate my grief. Purport by His Divine Grace. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. And yet, by His causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear Him or to speak to Him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. One can hear Him upon whom His mercy is bestowed. The Lord was too much pleased with Nārada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probational stage of regulative devotional service. It was a special gift for Nārada. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation was to some extent mitigated. A devotee in love of God feels always the pangs of separation and is therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandana Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danteridam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sadkaromismam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. There's a very important point which is made here by Śrīla Prabhupada. The issue that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. In the Upanishads, there is description, very clear description, that the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Brahman, Krishna, cannot be approached merely because one is intelligent, na medhaya, na bahuna shritena, or one is a big Vedic scholar able to quote Sanskrit and recite the Vedas. That is not the system. Nayamatma pravachena labhya, or whether one is able to give very wonderful speeches, that is also not the qualification. Then what is the qualification? Then it goes that the Supreme Lord is only can be understood when he reveals himself. Or what is that qualification? In the Brahma Samhita, it is nicely explained, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. For those whose eyes are smeared with Prema Anjana, with love of Godhead, they can understand. There are so many descriptions in Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Brahma Samhita, and other Vedic literatures that Krishna can be revealed for those who have unalloyed devotion. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna the science of bhakti, and he's explaining that I am revealing the science to you because you are not envious. Yesterday in the Bhagavad Gita discussion, we were discussing how in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that a person who is very dear to me means, first of all, first qualification, one who is not envious. I'll choose the text. I believe it's in chapter 12, text 13 and 14. A very important point that was raised by Lord Krishna himself. Adveshta sarva bhutanam metra karuna evacha. Let's read the translation of the verse. Text 13 and 14. Okay. One who is not envious, but who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, who is free from false ego, and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, is very dear to me. Now, this is a very important point, because we see in other places in the Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that I'm revealing this science to you because you are not envious, Arjuna. And again, yet yesterday we were discussing how in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in Canto 1, Chapter 1, text number 2, that it is explained that Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam, that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is meant for those who are free from this jealousy and envy. Especially, one should not be envious of other Vaishnavas, trying to suppress and oppress other Vaishnava devotees. That's at Canto 1, Chapter 1, text number 2. I don't think that's the right verse. Canto 1, Chapter 1. Okay. Let me see. Let me dig out the text here. Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. Text number 2. Dharma Prajito Kaitava Atro Parama Nirmatsaranam Satam. Here we go. Translation. In this Bhagavad Puranam, all so-called religious activities covered by fruitive intentions are completely rejected, and the highest truth, understandable by the 100% pure-hearted devotees, is inculcated. The highest truth is the factual reality distinguished from the shadow, is described herein, for everyone's well-being and causing uprooting of the threefold miseries. So the basic point here that Prabhupada is making, that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam can only be understood by those who are free from this enviousness. I was just hearing a lecture where Prabhupada was describing how in the material world, everyone is envious of everybody else. Prabhupada says, you're envious of me, I'm envious of you. Everyone wants processions that they're not qualified to get. If somebody has some nice situation in life, they become envious. Prabhupada related the story about one man told a friend, oh, have you heard that so-and-so he's sitting as a high court judge? And the person who was very envious says, oh, really? Oh, he must do it without salary. Prabhupada says that is meaning of enviousness. Another time, Prabhupada said, one man is walking on the sidewalk on one side of the street, and one envious man is telling the other person, oh, you cannot walk there. Although it's a public sidewalk, anyone can walk there. So this enviousness is very, very dangerous for those who are serious and interested in spiritual life. And how to get rid of that enviousness, one has to hear the message, the Vani message of the bona fide, self-realized, pure soul Acharya. Now, there's a great misconception that is propagated with persons who are too absorbed in the bodily conception of life, the Vapuvad philosophy. Now, Prabhupada clearly preached that Vani is more important than Vapu, his Vani. But these people are preaching that their Vapu is more important than Prabhupada's Vani. They will say, oh, no, we're not preaching that. But factually, by their behavior, we can see, as described by Vishwakarma Prabhu in the introduction to the program, and this is the difficulty. A person has to hear properly, without personal ambition, without enviousness, and then he can understand. How does a person learn how to love Krishna? He has to follow the instruction of a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, who actually sees Krishna. Now, a person may say, well, why can't we see God? And Prabhupada explained, well, why can't you just go see the president right now? What is your qualification? What is your business to see him? And Prabhupada used to ask, what is your qualification? And what is that qualification? It is described in one lecture. Prabhupada says, Nadevo devamarchayet. You cannot worship God unless you are godly yourself. You have to purify your existence. Prabhupada was asked one time, person wanted to, whether Prabhupada had seen God. Prabhupada said, well, even if I say that I've seen God, how will you understand? Unless you know. Prabhupada said, you have to develop the eyes to see him. And how do you develop the eyes? This is described by Prabhupada many times. He was quoting from the Padma Purana. Atasra Krishna namadi nabhavet grayam indriye. With these mundane, contaminated senses, it is not possible to understand Krishna or his name, his activities, his pastimes, his qualities. So how do you get qualified? Sevan mukehi jivado. The first one is to develop a service attitude with the tongue. Oh, you're beautiful. We have the actual text. Swayameva spuratyara. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified, and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Prabhupada explains in a purport. This verse is recorded in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-2-34. Now, it's quite important to understand that Prabhupada, when he first preached in 1965, 1966, he didn't start with deity worship right away or trying to teach people the Purusha Sukta or complicated, more advanced practices of devotion. It was very simple. Chanting Hare Krishna and distributing prasadam. Simple. One time we came back from South India. I had a preaching tour in Tamil Nadu and Bangalore in 1972. And we related to Śrīla Prabhupada how we were preaching this and that. And at one point, Prabhupada said, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he preached, he did not discuss big philosophy, except to a few selected persons, like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashananda Saraswati. Most of the time, he was chanting Hare Krishna, engaging people in distributing prasadam. Very simple. But if you meet some scholars or persons who are interested, yes, you can preach some philosophy. But most of the time, it is best to chant Hare Krishna and to engage in distributing prasadam, which is exactly what this verse from Padma Purana is talking about. Sevan mukehi jivadu. Jiva means the tongue. And we engage the tongue in tasting foodstuff that is offered to Krishna, and we engage the tongue in vibrating Krishna's name. We discuss Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavad-Gita, the Lord's activities, the name, the pastimes of Krishna, like the Krishna book, the activities of Krishna as described in the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is the meaning of engaging the tongue. And if we do this and emphasize the original teachings of the pure devotee, then our life will become a success and people will be positively influenced to engage in the service of Krishna. It's not very complicated. It only becomes complicated when people distort the original teachings for personal name, fame, power, position, profit, adoration, distinction. The whole laundry list of nonsense ideas, nonsense personal motivations. And Prabhupada described this in many places in his books, specifically in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the story of the Gundicha Mandir, also in the story of Madhavendra Puri, installing the deity of Gopal at Govardhan Hill. There are so many very detailed purports for the guidance of aspiring practicing devotees of what to avoid, to be careful, to be very, very careful. You know, as part of this program, let me just relate another story. In 1977, we were in Prabhupada's room chanting a kirtan with some Gurukul children. And at one point, Prabhupada interrupted the kirtan. He says, "Why you are chanting Bhaja Sri Krishna Chaitanya? What is this?" Prabhupada said, and I told Prabhupada, this is from your own tapes. In the beginning, you were chanting this, but from Prabhupada, from now on, you should chant Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So after the conversation, I went and I spoke to the late secretary. I said, "What is this? Why the change?" And he explains that in Vrindavan, very close to the temple, there was a ashram where they were chanting Bhaja Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam Hare Krishna Hare Ram. Now, Prabhupada mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that this may be very good poetry, but this is not authorized by the Acharyas. And this particular Sahajiya group was there during the time of Bhaktivedanta Thakur and this one Charandas Babaji. And Bhaktivedanta Thakur convinced him to stop that and just stick to the authorized Panchatattva Mahamantra. So this is an example of Śrīla Prabhupada wanting to stick to the actual standard of the previous acharyas, because we see right now a lot of people have concocted new mantras, Hare Ramo, all different kinds of chants and concocted words that they've introduced during these kirtans, to which were not presented or given or authorized by Śrīla Prabhupada. So it's very important to understand we are not a Sahajiya philosophy. This is authorized disciplic succession, and the kirtans and the chanting and the books, everything should be according to the original instruction given to by the Acharya, Śrīla Prabhupada. Mahajano yena gata sapantaha. This is from the Mahabharata, explaining how the truth or the mysteries of understanding what is dharma or the real religious duty. In this age, one can only understand this by the teachings of the Mahajanas, the great authorized spiritual preceptors like Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Let's see if I can get that. Okay, thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana, for that brilliant explanation of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness according to Prabhupada's teachings without any change. And once again in this purport, Prabhupada stresses the importance of hearing. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. So it means that this sound vibration of Krishna consciousness descends through the disciplic succession from the spiritual world. And it cannot be changed or adulterated. Prabhupada used the example of a mango. When you harvest the mango from the top of the tree, you don't take it and throw it to the ground because it'll bruise the mango. It's the way it's done, and I've experienced this personally when I was in Kinshasa, Africa, Congo, that the person would go to the top of the tree and then they would pass it down very carefully to the ground so it wouldn't be damaged or bruised. And that's what happens when you take knowledge and you don't carefully protect it. You just take it and you concoct or manufacture your own understanding of it, and it becomes bruised and damaged. And yet, by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or to speak to him. Suitable senses to hear him. So once again, we're stressing the Vani incarnation. This is a science of Krishna consciousness. And it can't be changed. It has to be repeated without any adulteration. And this way you become cured of the disease of material life. Just like a person who's sick requires a medicine to cure him. And Ram Raghava knows this as a doctor himself, and he's here with us on the program. Generally, when they give you, say, penicillin, they tell you you have to take it for 10 days. They don't say you take it for 3 days and then you stop. You have to take it, the whole prescription. And that way you get the maximum result. So this dosage is specified. So here we, in our particular environment of Bhakti Yoga, the science of Krishna consciousness, the dosage is like this: Nasta prayeshu abradeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamashlokir bhaktir bhavati naistikhi. So Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu has so kindly introduced this verse at the beginning of our classes by regular attendance in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. Regular attendance. Not you get on the train, you get off at your convenience. People think, oh, I can just do what I want. That's narcissism. That's a false ego. No, it's regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class. If you can find the Bhagavatam class, okay, you can listen to the lectures. That's okay. That's also very potent and very enlivening. But same time, Prabhupada wanted us to associate with his disciples. And he entrusted his disciples with the opportunity to serve him in this way. That was what we did. For example, when you were a temple president, you were working every day. Prabhupada wasn't there personally. His Vapu, we were blessed that Prabhupada came to Toronto and gave us personal association. But we were in the role of carrying out his instructions, Nasta prayeshu abradeshu, by running the Bhagavatam class every day and giving association to our God brothers and God sisters. This is a very important part of the dosage that you need to get out of the illusion of material existence. All that is in us, what is the result? All that is inauspicious within the heart becomes destroyed almost to nil. How else are you going to get out of Maya, Vijaya Pandit? How else? Do you have a formula? Of course we don't. None of us do. Except the formula, thank you. Except the formula given by Prabhupada in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Regular attendance in the Bhagavatam. Not get on the train and hop off the train because you didn't like what someone said one day if they told you, oh, by the way, you have to chant your rounds. We had a criticism a couple of years ago by one of our godbrothers. What are you trying to do, run a boot camp? What are you, micromanaging people? That was his criticism. You're running a boot camp. You have no right to say that. Well, we just read the other day all the rules that Prabhupada gave. If you repeat the rules to somebody else, they criticize you. Well, you don't do it very well. Why should I follow? Well, that's your false ego. That's your illusion. That's your inability to follow anything except your own stupid mind. That's material life. And we're all victims of that. You know, I've been stupid lots of times. But we gradually, nasta prayeshu abradeshu, by regular attendance, we take this medicine of Krishna consciousness in the form of transcendental sound vibration, the Vani incarnation. And in this way, we become enlightened on how to practice Krishna consciousness on a daily basis as our most important service and surrender. So repetition of a good thing is a good thing. Repetition. Now, if someone say, well, you go over this, it's not us that's going over the point. The Shastras are repeating it constantly to us, that you have to always engage in this hearing process. It's a medicine to cure us of material existence. It's a medicine. And it has to be done. If you don't hear, gradually you become affected again by Maya, which is very strong. Oh yeah, don't minimize the power of Maya to take us away into the illusion of mundane mental speculation. It's a very powerful force. So in Bhakti Yoga, this is the formula to achieve success, constant repetition. For example, the chanting of the holy names. Now, we may not chant very well, but we practice. That's it. And gradually, step by step, if you continue to practice, eventually you may get, by the mercy of Krishna, because Krishna, Prabhupada said this, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, to me in a lecture very recently. He said, Krishna is everywhere. He knows everything. I thought to myself, now, when Prabhupada speaks like that, it really penetrates your consciousness. And when you hear that from him, you begin to become humble, because then you're aware that Krishna is residing also in the heart of us and every living entity. How is it that we can understand Krishna? Because Krishna is inconceivable in his position as the Supreme Lord. It is inconceivable. And we're very minute parts. Although we're parts of Krishna, we have this ability by the mercy of the Lord because of that relationship with him. But it has to be reignited by the constant practice of devotional service and surrender, sacrifice. A lot of people, they take to the process, and you mentioned very astutely, Prabhu, that a lot of people think, oh, I'll learn all these verses. Yeah, and then I'll speak them. And I saw that today. I've been seeing quite a bit of lectures by other of our godbrothers. And I could see that they've learned the philosophy, but they're using it as a means to justify who they are. And the person was saying, oh, my guru, I was blessed by my guru. But did he mention Prabhupada's name? No. Not once. He didn't mention Prabhupada's name. Is he stressing the sale of Prabhupada's books or his books? He's written all kinds of books. Prabhupada's written an entire encyclopedia of transcendental knowledge for us to study. And you can read these books on and on through your whole life and never get tired. Just like we don't. None of us. And you can see how we're all working towards referring to this literary incarnation of the Lord by the grace of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. So repetition of the same thing is the way that we become cured of the material disease. So whether it's chanting, hearing the lectures, or associating with devotees, engaging. By the way, when you do get knowledge, then you should take action. Take action. Don't sit back and be an audience member, just an audience member. Be a participant. I always hated being in the audience all throughout my life. I just because of my specific career choices. So we don't want to be in the audience just watching things go by. There are two types of people: the people that do things and the people that watch you do things. And we all want to be leaders in spreading Krishna consciousness according to the teachings of Śrīla Prabhupāda in his books, in his lectures, in his letters, like that. Don't be simply a member of the audience. Be a full participant in the Sankirtan movement. And in this way, you'll please our spiritual master. And in this way, you'll make advancement. In this way, you'll go back home, back to Godhead. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if you could further explain.
This particular point about Krishna knowing everything, the verse in the Bhagavad Gita is chapter 7, text number 26, where Krishna explains, O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So this is a very important point. In the purport, Śrīla Prabhupada explained here the question of personality and impersonality is clearly stated. If Krishna, the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered by the impersonalists to be Maya, to be material, then he would, like the living entity, change his body and forget everything in his past life. Anyone with a material body cannot remember his past life, nor can he foretell his future life, nor can he predict the outcome of his present life. Therefore, he cannot know what is happening in past, present, and future. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, he cannot know past, present, and future. Now, this is a very important point, because one of the issues that is important to understand, according to Shastra, liberated souls are called Trikalagnya. They know past, present, and future because they are Shastra Chakshus. They see things through the lens of the Shastra, of the revealed scriptures. And Śrīla Prabhupada is such a personality. This is a very, very important point. That is why we keep repeating this point about the Vani incarnation, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his pure devotee, Śrīla Prabhupada. We have discussed in this program before how in Australia, Vyāsa and another devotee, Amoga, were discussing with Śrīla Prabhupada how one lawyer, one barrister, had Śrīla Prabhupada's books, but he did not get the chance to read them. He put them on his shelf, and he expressed that these books look very, very nice. And Prabhupada said, even if he appreciates like that, that is very, very nice. And Prabhupada said, because these books are representative of God. That when we say these books, not the edited, interpolated, and adulterated books, that's something else. When we talk about sweet rice, it's sweet rice without sand and without sawdust in it. When we speak of Prabhupada's books, it's the original books. Have you ever had the experience of somebody making the mistake of putting salt in the sweet rice instead of sugar? They're both white, they're both granular, but they have a very different effect. I mean, I'm sure, I know that Ram Madhava knows this, he's a physician. You know, the physicians are very careful. When you give a prescription to a patient, he has to go to a pharmacy. And sometimes the pharmacist will call the physician. Is this really what you ordered for this patient? Is this really the dosage? Does this patient, because they'll discuss whether or not this is the right medication, is this the right dosage? So in the same way, Prabhupada's books will have a very different effect if they're changed without authorization. Just like we were talking about this issue of not concocting bogus mantra, une mauvaise prière, une fausse prière. This is in French, a false prayer. It is described in the Padma Purana. Sampradaya vihinaye mantraste nishpala mataha. This Sanskrit word is there. Nishpala means useless, fruitless. If you don't receive your mantra or your song or your instruction from a bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya, it will not have any effect. Nishpala mataha. So this is a very important. Just like in medicine, you can't go to the pharmacy, oh, give me some medicine, I'm not feeling well. What do you think they're going to say? Go see the doctor and get a prescription. And sometimes the doctor will say, well, we have to run some tests. We have to see what's really behind this sickness that you have. It may be something very serious. It may be something that may be very, very advanced disease that may require a very, very different kind of treatment. So in the material world, we are very conditioned, very attached to this material enjoyment, this false enjoyment. And the physician, the transcendental physician, Śrīla Prabhupada, he knows how to prescribe the correct kind of medicine to cure the disease condition of the living entity. And what is that? Chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and hearing from correct sources. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I guess nobody is there. Okay. And the purport, Prabhupada says, and at the continuation of that same purport that we were reading, another purport, Prabhupada explains, in Canto 4, Chapter 6, text number 3, in the purport, Prabhupada explained, both Lord Brahma and Vishnu had already known that such events would occur in the sacrificial arena of Daksha. And knowing beforehand, they did not go to the sacrifice. Prabhupada explains in the purport, again, this is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 6, text number 3. Prabhupada says, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:26, Vidaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna. The Lord says, I know everything, what has happened in the past and is going to happen in the future. Lord Vishnu is omniscient, and he therefore knew what would happen at Daksha's sacrificial arena. For this reason, neither Narayana nor Lord Brahma attended the great sacrifice performed by Daksha. I think in Christian theology, they have this point about God being omnipresent and omniscient. The same principle is given in Bhagavad Gita when God himself, Lord Krishna, is presenting that he knows everything past, present, and future. Let us open the discussion if we have any questions from anybody. Vijay Pandit, Nilesh Sharma, anybody has any question or any points? Dharma Bhavana, any comment? Vijay Pandit, go ahead, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
You have a question?
Just one question.
Yes.
In everything what Śrīla Prabhupada taught us, chanting is it enough as a service, as a service to Śrīla Prabhupada's mission to chant the holy name every day, and only the holy name and no other service, as a main service? Is this enough for us if we chant just the holy name every day and only this?
It can be. I mean, there are many statements by Śrīla Prabhupada, but by chanting Hare Krishna, one will attain all perfection. But we have to remember, because of our conditioned stage, there are so many different activities to engage the mind, because the mind is very flickering. The mind is always wandering here and there. Therefore, there are activities. their activities, like engaging the senses and the mind in practical activities, so one gradually becomes purified. But if one can chant Hare Krishna all the time, like Jayananda, who was an exalted soul, and Aprakrita, another exalted soul, they were showing by example how to engage practically in service 24 hours a day. Any other questions or remarks?
I wanted to apologize. My internet went down, Ram Raghava. That's what happened. So I disappeared there for a moment. Nothing is for sure in this world. Let's go ahead. Dharma Bhavana, is he on the program? I don't see him.
Okay, yeah, I was going to just mention how I think today is Lord Nityananda's Parents' Day or tomorrow, and I don't like these calendars that give you some indication if you have 100 miles this way or 100 miles west, or that you celebrate on different days. But that's somehow how the calendar that I see. But there's a verse here I wanted to read from about today's class. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text 310. It was a lot about today's class, which is about accepting in a non-envious way the teachings of the Acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, and Śrīla Prabhupāda, without changing it or arguing or unnecessarily using our own mind. It says here, 310, he who is accepted as everything, the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Acharya, can attain this transcendental treasure. Purport. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Krishna is obtainable for the faithful, but those who are accustomed to argue, Krishna is far, far away. Similarly, these talks between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can be understood by a person who has firm faith. Those who are not the disciplic succession, the Asauta Pantis, cannot have faith in these talks. They're always doubting and engaging in mental concoctions. These talks cannot be understood by such whimsical people. Transcendental topics remain far, far away from those engaged in mundane arguments. In this regard, the Vedic mantras in the Kathopanishad 129 state, Naishatar Kena Matir Apaneya Proktan Yenaiva Su Nanaya Presta. According to Mundaku Upanishad 323, Nayamatma Pravachena Labyo Namedhaya Nabahuna Shutena Yame Vaishya Vernute Tena Labyasta Shaiva Atma Vernute Tashum Swam. And according to Brahma Samhita 2111, all Vedic literatures declare that transcendental subjects cannot be understood simply by argument or logic. Spiritual matters are far above experimental knowledge. If one is interested in the transcendental loving affairs of Krishna, it is only by Krishna's mercy that he can understand them. I just wanted to read that a little bit for it. I thought it was a whole lot about what today's was class about. A really kind of wonderful class helping us that we're supposed to be very humble. And if someone wants to correct us, we should always be ready to be corrected. It's kind of a non-envious way of practicing humility and simplicity, and in this way appreciating the great transcendental words of the Acharya. So I just wanted to make that simple. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada. Yes, it's simple for the simple, difficult for the cricket. And really, devotional service is a discipline. And it's a personal discipline of each individual devotee. But we always encourage each other to keep up the effort. Krishna Katha, I see you made a comment on our chat. Maybe you'd like to further comment on it for us.
All right. Thank you. Dharma Bhavana, thank you for that share. That's absolutely relevant, not only today's class, but just what we've experienced, all of us, more so Yaśodā-nandana and the older disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada that have watched the institution that Prabhupada established crumble into denial, lies, deceit, and a lot of arguing, and a lot of deflection, right? So when you bring up the poison issue, for example, they deflect. Oh, there's not enough evidence. Well, wait a minute. Actually, there's a ton. There's sufficient evidence to conclude, how do you say, beyond a reasonable doubt that our master was purposely poisoned. So it's this kind of hiding and deflecting that we see in the age of Kali Yuga, in the mentality and the mindset of the demoniac, right? The worshipers of their own senses and their own profit and adoration, and not of the Lord's, and not of our master, Śrīla Prabhupada. So this is really the crux of the problem, is the institution has become all about them. And then you have the sincere disciples, such as this group, the PDA, the Hare Krishna Society, and many others, that study Śrīla Prabhupada's books and understand that there's a difference, a major difference, when you analyze the activities, the behavior, and the words of Prabhupada's sincere disciples. They simply repeat what Śrīla Prabhupada has given us. And this is the point. Śrīla Prabhupada was always making it clear that I am simply repeating the words of my spiritual master. And this is the bona fide system by which you can connect yourself to the Parampara and literally go back, home back to God in this lifetime. And I know that in, like, for example, in my life, that's an inconceivable possibility. But for whatever, deviations and fall downs or whatever that may some of us have done, including myself, it doesn't mean we give up. It doesn't mean that, oh, well, it's not going to happen in this life, so I might as well just go back to being like I was before, which was just serving my senses and my mind, right? And my false ego, right? And living that whole lie. No, we continue forward. Just like the question was asked by Vijay Pandit, is it enough to simply chant Hare Krishna all day long? Well, yes, Yaśodā answered that absolutely spot on to our philosophy, but we can do more, right? We can offer our food, right? We can put a festival together. We can print Śrīla Prabhupada's unchanged books, which is very pleasing to our spiritual master. So there is so much more, but at a minimum, absolutely, chanting the holy names all day long in whatever means possible is still the right thing to do. It's the activity that will purify our hearts. And that's the point of Bhakti Yoga, is don't think that, oh, I did all this service, 20 years ago, and that's enough. No, you have to continue nonstop, and Krishna will continue to come towards you as you do your best to go towards him. And I just don't know of any. I mean, I've searched the websites, and I've read a lot of other groups, what they're about, and I don't find any more sincere practicing group of devotees and disciples of Prabhupada than the Hare Krishna Society and the PDA. So that's the point, is once you're latched on and you're sincere, you're very fortunate. That's the point about there should be thousands of PDAs and Hare Krishna Society, because we know that the Itzikon institution is only about their senses, their false ego, their profit, their adoration, their power, their control, and it's very demoniac. It's actually anti, or it's against everything Śrīla Prabhupada gave us. Completely opposite. So that's my realization and takeaway from today's verse, and the comment from Vijay Pandit and Dharma Bhava, and of course Yaśodā-nandana's great class. Thank you, Vishwa, for letting me chime in. Appreciate you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank
Always
you.
a problem.
Before we go to Nilesh Sharma, he's got his hand up, and that'll be the end of the discussion. I wanted to further refer to his comment during the week about different godbrothers, so-called senior godbrothers, as he refers to them. And, you know, senior is not necessarily by age, but it is by surrender, how you surrender. So a young devotee, say, who is a teenager, he can be a senior devotee. This is in the history of our Vaishnava tradition, that it's not by age, not by being an old man with a cane, but it's by your understanding of this philosophy and your a practice of it in association with other devotees. How can you discriminate? You have to use your intelligence. And you listen. You can judge a fool by how he speaks. So people can come forward and be a part of this program or our group, and they can listen and they can make their own judgment. Use your intelligence. Some people don't have the capacity. Just like some people think the woke philosophy is right. Don't use pronouns, he, she. Don't call your wife a wife, call her something else. They have all kinds of concoctions, and people believe it, Ram Raghava. They believe it. They're so stupid. They're so confused. So there is a lot of confusion. Use your discrimination, your intelligence, and just listen. And if those that have the capacity will figure it out, who is speaking the truth, who is representing Prabhupada, and who isn't. Neela Shama, you have your hand up. I know you're in your car somewhere.
Yes, I'm away somewhere, that's why. Thank you, Hare Krishna. My question is, which is, you know, Dharma Bhavana Prabhu had put up a forward on Facebook, which I saw that in the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavana, now when you circumambulate the temple, they have a certain section where they have put all these so-called gurus, including Kirtananda Swami and others, with their own personal prayers, which their disciples used to say, in the path of the pradakshina, the circumambulation of the temple. And the person who had originated this particular, post said that I don't want to circumambulate pedophiles and other people, so I'm not going to circumambulate. What should be our position? That still Krishna Balaram is still there. Should we circumambulate or should we not circumambulate? Because they have put these pictures and these pranam mantras of all those people who have passed away, but were not bona fide spiritual masters, were not, and some of them were even in trouble with the law. So what should one do as far as circumambulation of the Krishna Balaram Mandir? What should we do?
Okay, Yaśodā, please, if you could answer.
Well, it's recommended in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that one should circumambulate the temple. Krishna sees the real intention. There's a name of Krishna called Bhavagrahi Janardana, that Krishna sees the real intention, the real devotional intent of any devotee. So although, as you pointed out, there may be some discrepancies or defects in some devotees, another thing, let's be fair here, not every devotee in that organization is corrupt or nonsense. That is not a fair assessment. So, you know, I understand the point. There is an extreme position that some people take, but one look at it this way. If you circumambulated the deity, you're not circumambulating to please any individual person. You're trying to please Krishna. You're trying to please the pure devotee. That's the simplest way to look at this. Now, if somebody doesn't want to circumambulate, that's their choice. But there is always transcendental benefit. Just like, for example, if you go to the Radharaman temple, you circumambulate. There may be many people in that temple room there who may, while you're circumambulating the temple, some people who are not pure devotees or not perfectly self-realized souls, or who may be engaged in questionable activities. Does that mean we should not circumambulate? No, we have to use our intelligence. I mean, you know.
No, but this is Prabhuji. We know that this person has digressed. We know the person has been offensive. And we know that even despite their offenses, these posters have put up and their pranam mantras along with it.
Okay, now I'm not familiar with the setup of that temple right now. I haven't been there, although with Guru Kripa I helped to build that temple. But I don't know exactly what the circumstances are of what posters are there or pranam mantras. I don't really know exactly what you're talking about. Maybe you can explain further.
Yeah, I can forward those pictures. I don't know if Dharma Bhavana can do that on the chat right now, but Dharma Bhavana Prabhu can do that. But it is very, very disturbing, Prabhuji. That
Okay.
why would you want to put, and these are like marble fixtures on the wall with their pictures and their pranam mantras below that. And then as you're circumambulating them too, and you know their positions. When you don't know, it's a different story. But why would Krishna allow this? This is my real perplexity, is that Prabhupada's Samadhi is there. It is Vrindavan. It is the holiest dham. There has to be some message given to us, and I don't understand what it yet. What would be the message?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this kind of thing goes on. This is a historical, that there's always confusion in the spiritual practice is specifically in the spiritual practice of bhakti yoga, in the disciplic succession. There's this historical evidence of this. Yes, Yaśodā, I'm sorry.
It seems to me that while we're on this topic, you know, there's a lot of people in this movement. And a lot of it all stems from the misunderstanding of who is Śrīla Prabhupada. Therefore, we've got this situation of people putting a samadhi for a child molester, putting samadhis for people that are engaged in questionable, deviated activities, which means that these people have not properly studied the teachings of the Acharya. It's as simple as that. You don't put a sacred monument or sacred samadhi or a sacred picture for individuals who are engaged in deviating from the teachings of the Acharya. That is not proper. Now, there's not much we can do from our perspective here. I mean, Krishna Katha here is giving some good advice. Approach the local government of Vrindavan and inform them that convicted criminals are being displayed in the holy tirtha of the Krishna Balaram Mandir. Ask for them to post this publicly. So basically what you have is the blind following the blind. Andayatande rupaniyamanam. Why is this taking place why is this taking place in the holy dham? Why is a samadhi being put for somebody who engage in all kinds of illicit sexual activity? What is this? This is not Prabhupada's teachings. This is not the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is corruption. It should be rooted out.
Prabhuji, Rupesh Prabhu has put up the link. If you want to click on that Facebook link, you can see it very clearly.
I'm clicking on it now, trying to see what.
Okay.
It says the content is not available right now.
Oh,
All right.
because yeah, maybe for me it just did come up, but it's something which you can look into it from another computer. But it seems to be pretty disturbing.
Okay.
You know, Prabhu, Nilesh Prabhu, I think all of us feel the same way, that there is a, distortion of truth, misdirection of truth by certain individuals, and we know many of them. Actually, many of them were Americans. Romeshwar, and Harikesh, Hridayananda, Hansaduta, all those first 11, it's a tragedy. But we have to realize that this is going on, and we have to carry on with the truth. That's our job, not to become drawn into this revenge. Some people, they've served Tamal Krishna for many years after Prabhupada's departure. And then when they finally realized they were being deceived, guess what? They became angry, very angry, and they seek revenge. Our job is to promote the Vani incarnation of Śrīla Prabhupada. Look on the positive. I agree with you. I personally had a lot of dealings with the Kirtananda. I was on the plane with him. So many things. I don't want to talk about it right now because we don't have time. But it was disgusting. And when you hear, if you look at those books that have been researched on his behavior, it's appalling. And you're thinking, how can this go on? But this is the reality of things. The people in this material world, most of them, Nilesh, hear this carefully, most people are crazy. They're insane. They're confused. They're bewildered. And this is the reality of the material world. Yes, Yaśodā-nandana.
My question is this in the Radha Damodar temple or the Krishna Balaram temple that Śrīla Prabhupada founded? Which temple?
I'm not sure. I just looked at the picture. So it
okay,
could be
well,
in the Radha Damodar temple as per Rupesh Prabhu.
Yes,
I
Radha
can't-
Damodar temple.
I don't know exactly which temple. I doubt that this would be in the Krishna Balaram temple, but even if it is, I mean, just like we've discussed, in Vrindavan, in the holy sacred city of Vrindavan, the organization is putting up a samadhi for an individual who was well known to have engaged in illicit sexual activity with minors. And this shows the level of consciousness of the people who are allowing this. We're not, the point is, we're not trying to find fault here. What we're trying to do is preserve the sanctity and explain that nonsense things like this should not be allowed by the members and the leaders of that organization and in Vrindavan. It is as simple as that. Now, I appreciate the point that Ram Raghava Prabhu is saying. He's quoting from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 48, which is a very sober reminder. Every endeavor is covered by some sort of fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work which is born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of thought. And this is the point that Vishwakarma Prabhu was making, that despite all of these events or disturbances, it's up to us to carry on the process and the legacy of Śrīla Prabhupada and promote his Vani incarnation in his teachings. We cannot get absorbed forever in this one did this one did that, this happened, that happened. Okay, this will always go on. But it's up to us to use our intelligence and our consciousness to move forward because this is also arranged by Krishna to give us an example what not to do, how not to behave, how not to succumb to these deviations, but to try to follow properly and to rectify our own consciousness, our own character. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, very interesting dialogues in our programs, I must say. And this has been evolving for the last few years. And we carry on and we keep trying. And this is what you have to do as devotees, as sincere members. Don't give up, never give up. Don't become discouraged. This goes on, and it's common sense to understand that in the material world, this is hell. It really is. It's a hellish period of time in the history of the world. This is called the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Nilesh, the hypocrites are everywhere. And it's manifesting even in the holy Dham. So we keep calm. It's almost like a hip hop song. If you're in the Dham, keep calm. Stay calm. Stay focused. Follow the process. Associate. Promote this movement. The PDA, Hare Krishna Society, to others. And we'll hopefully get more than 20 people at a class. This is obviously something I'm concerned about, that we have a good group, but we're not expanding the way we should. And that's how we should focus, not worry about Kirtananda as a pedophile. Yeah, he's worse than that. He was involved in bestiality. Are we going to talk about that? No. We're not interested in all this kind of garbage propaganda of the fallen souls of this Kali Yuga. We're interested in the glorious pastimes of Sri Krishna and of the Lord Chaitanya and our spiritual master, Śrīla Prabhupāda, which is amazing, everybody. You want to repeat that and not worry about this garbage that's going on in the so-called name of fake religion. That's all everywhere. So thank you, everyone, for the discussion. And I hope you feel some ecstasy from these discussions. Satchidananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. There is happiness in this. Ram Raghava, any comments to finalize the talk from your good self, who's helped us host the show today? Any comment?
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I just wanted to share what Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu was talking about earlier. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, in the purport to Canto 8, text 23, chapter 23, verse 2, Śrīla Prabhupāda says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Bhava Grahi Janardana because he takes only the essence of a devotee's attitude. If a devotee sincerely surrenders the Lord as the super soul in everyone's heart, immediately understands this. So I'll just leave it at that, because sometimes we are in a situation that we can't control completely. So we just sincerely offer Krishna our service, and he recognizes what we're trying to do. And also I wanted to talk about gardening, bhakti as gardening, but I'll wait till next time since we're out of time.
Excellent, thank you. And by the way, are those new neck beads you have on? Is that new neck beads? Those look quite gorgeous, I must say. And I wanted to say, everyone, that we have, when you see the end of the program here, we note all the people that have donated. We're going to be changing some of our graphics as we move forward this year, but at the same time, we want to recognize the people that have given money for propagating the movement, and we do thank them very sincerely. And there's also a list of what's called offices. Our offices, our branch offices. They're not temples, they're offices. And they're going to facilitate our distribution of books in the different parts of the world where they're occupied. And if anybody's interested in being a part of this list, let me know, let us know that you want to become active in helping to distribute Prabhupada's books through this network. These are visions that we have in a hope that eventually these seeds that we're planting will expand and develop, and we will develop some global interest and global cooperation amongst the real Prabhupada disciples. We are counteracting the negative publicity that ISKCON is propagating throughout the world by its deviation from the process of devotional service that was taught to us by Śrīla Prabhupāda. It is a mission, it is a war. We're fighters, eh? We are. The Battle of Kurukshetra was a war, fratricidal war. No different now, and it was the same in the Gaudiya Math with the after the departure of His Divine Grace Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, they wanted to sell the printing presses in order to maintain their positions as gurus in their little groups, the little kingdoms. So this is going on in the name of spiritual life, and we're going to rise above it, everyone. And we want to invite you to come next Thursday to the Chaitanya Charitamrita program. And at the same time, please get people to subscribe to the channel. We're getting people all over the world that are watching our shows, even though they're not attending them either by circumstance or whatever. You know, they might be working, but at the same, or time zones. But at the same time, they're coming and they're checking out the programs which go on. And we have almost 2,000 hours of content. 2,000 hours. So we're making an effort. And, you know, hopefully Krishna will bless us and Prabhupada will give us the mercy that we'll have more success as we march forward in our journey back home, back to Godhead. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. And all glories to the Sankirtan devotees of the PDA Hare Krishna Society. Let's go forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna and then a wind up of our program. And you can see our offices and consider becoming a part of it. Get a hold of us and join up.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and we're full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this lively program and discussion. Ram Raghava Prabhu in Georgia, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Vijay Pandit Prabhu in Bhaktos Goran. Grazie mille. And everybody, Bhakta Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California. Good to see you. Nilesh Prabhu in Florida. Mother Rochisa in Montreal, and everybody participating. Rupa Goswami Prabhu in Mumbai, India. Thanks, everybody. Please join us again on Thursday afternoon at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another livening session of reading and discussion of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Thanks, everybody, for participating. Let us hear the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.